Bliss, contrary to what people believe, is not happiness at all. Because happiness and sadness are the same things. I said that all opposites are the same. Good is bad and bad is good. Positive is negative and negative is positive, depending on which side you're standing on. Happiness is sadness and sadness is happiness, depending on which side you're standing on. You have certain people who will be happy at fortune or fortune that someone acquires, then somebody on the other side who did not attain or achieve that same fortune will be sad about that they didn't achieve it. So it'll be the same act, but it depends on, which side you're standing on. But it's the same coin, the same statue, the same foundation, right, of the coin. It's the same foundation. Happiness and sadness is on the same foundational surface. It's on the same foundation, right? Like Democrat and Republican. It's all part of the political parties. It's all the same thing. Same thing, right? They just people just make you think that opposites are different, and they really not. They really not. Right? So, bliss is a state of pure satisfaction and contentment. It's a state of being, a state of life, a state of continuation, a state of constant satisfaction and movement. Satisfaction in the purpose that you have actually achieved what your true purpose is in life. You found out, or you are on the path to finding out continuously who you are. That is contentment. That is true bliss. That is pure bliss. Beyond happiness. I did a CD one time where I talked about bliss and satisfaction. Right? Satisfaction is greater. The state of satisfaction, bliss, pure bliss, is much more supreme than happiness, because you can stay in a state of pure bliss. No matter what you're going through or what's going on around you, you can remain in a state of pure bliss, satisfaction. You can see people dying around you. You can see people being born around you, and it doesn't change you. It doesn't change your disposition or your demeanor. You can be in this state of pure bliss because you yourself know that what you are doing in life, how you are moving on this path, on this journey to continuously finding out what your true purpose is in the world without confusion, without chaos, right? That is the state of pure bliss. There is no confusion. There is no chaos. There is no emotion. Some people, like I said, mistake that state of pure bliss and that tranquility, right, and that acknowledgement of your true purpose, finally figuring out where you fit into the bigger scheme of things, the bigger picture, as happiness. And it's not. Like, you'll see people say, no matter what goes on around this person, they always seem happy all the time. That's not happiness. That's not happiness. That's bliss. Very few people in this lifetime achieve it. See, because happiness, like sadness, can be transmitted in a spiritual flow of energy. It can be transmitted. You can have somebody around you who's happy. Next thing you know, they transfer that happiness to you, just like you can have somebody around you who's sad who'll transfer that sadness to you. Right? So that's not even a real way of feeling or thinking or, being that you actually have to yourself, that you have control over. Because, like I said, happiness comes and happiness goes. Happy to sad, sad to happy. So if these feelings, these emotions can be easily manipulated, then they're not real. They're not real if they can be easily manipulated. What makes you that real man or that real woman in the world. What makes you that, right? What defines you? Just you. What defines you? So that you can become part of something greater that's constantly being defined, that's constantly being extended, that's constantly being exposed to something greater. That state of pure energy, pure power, soul energy, is that projection of continuous brightness, or as we say, in bright mental energy that is constantly being engineered into yourself. You allowed yourself to engineer that energy into yourself to extend yourself beyond different dimensions, higher dimensions, in a state of constantly unfolding yourself, right? And finding your true purpose. That is a state of pure bliss. Bliss is growth. Pure bliss is growth. Extension. That is pure bliss. When you feel yourself growing mentally, when you feel yourself extending physically and mentally, right? Beyond emotion, beyond pettiness, beyond the three-dimensional realm of existence, when you actually feel yourself growing, because to grow is to live. That's pure life. That's pure bliss. When you feel yourself extending and growing, that is a state of pure bliss. When you feel yourself growing past boundaries, past limitations, your thoughts are growing past boundaries and limitations, that is a state of pure bliss. Bliss is growth. Bliss is continuous growth, continuous extension, and satisfaction at that growth and that extension. That's what pure bliss is. It's not happiness. Happiness can be controlled. Sadness can be controlled, but bliss cannot. Not by nobody on the outside anyway. You become the engineer of your blissful state, or that pure blissful state. You become the engineer of that because you decide that you will grow past limitations, past that three-dimensional world. So you become the engineer of pure bliss, pure extension, pure expansion, pure growth, pure life. You become the engineer of that. That's bliss. Nobody today, the average person in the world today, can't say that. They cannot say they experience pure bliss. They'll say, they might mistake bliss, or they might mistake happiness for bliss. They might, they might try to think, oh, I'm happy, and they mistake happiness for bliss. And that's not bliss. Bliss is a state that cannot or does not have an opposite. It does not have an opposite end or bottom or equal. Bliss is a state of life. It's a state of being, just like supremacy is a state of being. Supremacy, bliss, these are all states that go hand in hand. Because when you find that pure bliss, you go into that state of supremacy. Like I said before, there is no opposite to supreme. There is no opposite to bliss. Because opposites means limitations. Opposite is a limitation. An opposite to something is a limitation. That's why I told my people to stop referring to yourself as black people. The ones of my people who are moving out of the three-dimensional state, who are coming into the Republic of Mental, like as the bright race, to stop referring to yourself or aligning yourself with anything that's black. Because it limits you by what's called white. Right? It limits you by what's called white. But there is no limitation to bright or brightness. It can get brighter and brighter and brighter. And that is the state of pure bliss, to become brighter and brighter and brighter. The brighter race. Continuously brighter. Continuously extended. No limitations. Constant growth. Imagine being able to think without limitations. Get up every morning growing and glowing past limitations, past what people constantly trying to limit you by. Because you're going to constantly get people who are trying to limit you, tell you can't do this, you can't do that. And to the point where their thoughts start to go inside of your head. And that's when they've won. That's when they've won. They manipulate your happiness and your sadness, right? And after a while, if you are able to figure it out, if you are able to figure out that happiness is what you should not be seeking, because happiness will only bring you sadness, then you will start to desire a state of bliss, a state of being, a state of separation and solitude to get to that place. I said before, many of my the people that come into the Republic of Mental, you are coming into that state of personification now, and you're getting to a stage where you're starting to grow. You're growing up. You're growing up and you're growing out. So you have to go into that incubator. You have to go into that fortress of solitude, right? Alone, away from limitations, away from family, away from people, places, and possessions, to grow into that personified being, into that person, into that power, to go into that state of pure bliss and find out that you are connected to something much bigger, something much greater. And then you must sacrifice all questions that are linked to the three-dimensional realm. You must sacrifice all fears that are linked to the three-dimensional realm. You must sacrifice all limitations, all emotions that are linked to the three-dimensional world of people, place, and possession. You must sacrifice all that to get to a state of pure bliss. Because if you hold on to these things, people, place, and possession, you will never reach that space. You will go into states of happiness, but eventually you will become sad again. So your happiness is not real if it can be altered like that. You want to be in a state of continual satisfaction. You want to be in a state of continual satisfaction. I'm going to say it again. You want to be in a state of continual satisfaction. Constant growth, constant extension, constant life, constant power. That is pure bliss. Bliss is constant power. You're only going to gain power when you get control of your emotions, where you alter out your emotions, when you erase your emotion. Because people will always try to limit you by way of that. People will always try to limit you by way of emotion. They will try to stop your growth. They will try to stop your movement toward the state of pure bliss. They will constantly try to stop that. They will constantly try to stop that in this three-dimensional realm, because people are set up. Places are set up. Possessions are set up to keep you grounded in a three-dimensional place, to keep you going back and forth between happiness and sadness, between positive and negative, between good and evil, between black and white, negative and positive, all this nonsense, all of this polarity. Never putting you in a fixed place for growth, a fixed place for evolution, on that continuous elevator. That continuous elevator is the state of pure bliss, where it is constantly going out, up, out, constantly to a higher state. Continuous, continuation, right? Continuous growth, continuous extension, continuous discovery of who you are, because the discovery of who you are never stops. This constant discovery of who you are and who you are becoming never stops. And when you're on that journey to the constant discovery of who you are and who you are constantly becoming, that is the state of pure bliss. Movement. Pure power is movement. Constant movement, continuation, continuous movement. That is bliss, when you know you are moving. When you know you are moving. When you know you are motivated toward something greater, toward beyond people, place, and possession. When you motivated beyond that. When you are extending yourself beyond that. I was talking to somebody about that this weekend when I was out in Indianapolis. I said I would visit these towns in the South and places, and I would see these people, right? And it didn't seem to matter, like a lot of times, what their professions were, right? They would always, they might work their little 9 to 5 jobs, come home, do their regular activity in a circular, come home, take care of their kids, do their job, going, and they found, happiness in that and sadness, right? But because it was the same routine over and over and over again, right? It was the same routine over and over and over again. Now, I said to myself, I couldn't live amongst these people. I said because these people, like usually in the southern areas and places like that, even in New York sometimes, but in these places they always follow the same circular routine, and they always carry this state of emotion toward happiness and sadness, right? They're entertained for the moment, and then they're sad in the next moment, and there really is no state of pure bliss. There's no real satisfaction on their faces because they're not really accomplishing anything. They're not growing. If you are not accomplishing something that is not dealing with people, place, and possession, if you are not ultimately linking into that state of power, which is unlocking the extended self, if you're not unlocking the extended self, which is growth, extended power, then you will not move toward that state of bliss. You're not going to move toward that state of bliss. The best way I can describe it in the physical form is, let's say you're working out, right? And you get on this, routine of working out, and you constantly seeing improvements in your body as you're working out. And you want to stay on this level of working out, because now it's no longer, it goes from being a grind in the beginning where you got to push yourself and you really don't want to do it, to whereas you look forward to doing it because you look forward to your growth and becoming part of your continuous routine, because you actually see the work, you see the growth of a beautiful body coming in because of the work that you're putting in, a lean body, a slim body, a muscular body, whatever you're doing. And it's no longer a grind to you. It's a growth. It's a form of growth to you, right? You want a state of pure bliss. You reach that state of pure bliss. You understand? It's no longer a grind to you anymore. When you find what you came here to do, what your niche is in life, something that's going to put you in the minds of many who have never found their niche in life, because you got so many people out here who will never find what they truly came here to do, so they end up being thrown into the slot of other people's plans. They end up working at a fast food restaurant. They end up working at a diner. They end up working at doing a construction job. They end up doing, things they really just like, oh, it's just a job. And they got this look on their face, you got to earn some money. It's just a job. I feel truly sorry for those people. I feel sorry for them because they will never reach that state of pure bliss. Reaching that state of pure bliss is where you've actually found what it is that you came here to do, that you actually have a special slot in a state of growth and alignment, resonate in the minds of others, right? Where you're going to be remembered, right? Whether in a good way or in a bad way, it doesn't even matter, but you're going to be remembered, right? Whether you're infamous or famous or infamous, you're going to be remembered because you found that niche. You found that niche in life, and you're growing by way of that. You're working toward that. And so now it's not even a grind anymore. Don't feel like labor. It's a labor of love. That's a state of pure bliss where it is no longer a grind anymore. It is a true labor of love, with a.k.a. sacrifice towards something greater, and you constantly see the greater unfolding. That is a state of pure bliss, movement. Like I said, motion. You're moving towards something. Constantly moving towards something, getting greater, becoming more supreme, You can be you can be going to being a great performer, a great singer, whatever the case may be. You on that path. So whatever you do, whenever you sit down to lay down that music, dance, or whatever you're gonna do, or whatever you looking to accomplish, like you could be a great artist and whatnot. You constantly on that mindset. I'm gonna create this, this perfect, constant creating these perfect pictures and doing these things and whatnot that I'm gonna be remembered for. And you constantly pushing yourself on that path toward greatness, continuously extending yourself, extending your mind, extending your memory. That is a state of pure bliss, because now you're in a state of motion to become a definitive power in the world continuously. Your work is going to start to resonate in the minds of others. That's what you do. Your work is going to resonate in the mind of others long after you have passed from this scene and moved on to the next. So much so that when you come into the next state of life, you're going to be doing the same thing on a greater level, because of what you did prior has made such a vibration, has made such an impression, that you have entered a state of pure bliss, because you are in a constant movement, you are in a constant motion. You are not standing still. You are in a line moving forward. You're not moving in a circle. You're not doing the same grind, the same routine. Because even then, let's just say, people say, well, if you're doing the same you're doing artwork all the time, and you get up and you paint this, and you do this, and you do that, and you're doing this, that seems like a routine. It's not. Because you got certain routines that are taking you someplace, and certain routines that are not taking you no place. If you get up and you say, you know what, I'm going to get up, I'm going to dance, I'm going to sing, I'm going to be the best performer, I'm going to be the best entertainer, I'm going to be the best musician, whatever the case may be, and you working toward that because this is how you want to make your mark in life. You want to be the best artist, you want to be the best, whatever you want to do. The best surgeon, the best nurse, the best something I'm going to do, the best chef, the best tailor, the best designer, the best, whatever you want to do in life. And you said, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to make my name. This is how I'm going to make my niche in life. This is what I'm going to do. And you decide that this is how I'm going to, I'm going to redefine myself and make my mark in life. You have entered a state of pure bliss, because so many people outside of that state are in a state of confusion. They are in a state of chaos and confusion. They are in a state of chaos and confusion, because they got to get up and go to a job they don't like every day. They got to get up and be in a marriage they don't want to be in relationships they don't want to be in, talk to people they don't want to talk to, deal with children they don't want to deal with. They got to get up and deal with that. They got to try and find happiness in the day and whatnot, only to find sadness. Sometimes they find a little bit of joy, then they go back to sadness and whatnot, and they're constantly caught in that limitation. They have not reached that state of pure bliss. They have not reached it. They try to find joy, happiness in this small little life that is confined to these three-dimensional state of people, place, and possession. But the happiness they find is only temporary, so it's not real. Anything that's temporary is not real. That's why I said that things in the three-dimensional world, like I was saying in the conference on Sunday, these things are not real. Everything in this three-dimensional world is false. Everything, people, places, and possessions are false. When you get to that fourth-dimensional state of pure bliss, you're going to see how phony everything is. You'll see just how phony it is. The friends you thought you had, the relationships you thought you had, the possessions you thought you had, the places you've been, the things you think you own. When you get in that state of pure bliss, these things don't mean nothing, because you see just how unreal they are, how phony they are, how temporary they are. You see that. How temporary your relationships are. You be with a man or a woman 20 years, whatever the case may be, you find out they're damn homosexual. You understand? Or a lesbian, whatever. They got you got, damn, I've been sleeping next to you for 10, 15, 20 years. You gay? You a lesbian? There go your happiness. Your world is shattered. You find something out like that, your world is shattered. You raise children with this person. You worried now, I got to get myself tested. This person give me HIV. Your world was just so happy a minute ago. Then, just like that, it goes to a state of sadness, anger, confusion, right? Chaos. So none of it was real. None of it was real. Not one damn thing. You find out he was going out here sleeping with another man. Or she was going out here sleeping with another woman. Right? She come to you, or he come to you one day, I want to leave, I don't want to be in this no more. You thought everything was good. Your world is shot to hell. But that's what happens when you lock yourself into this three-dimensional picture. You look to be happy. You seek happiness. And if you seek happiness, you will eventually find sadness. I'm going to say it again. If you seek happiness in this life, you will eventually find sadness. If you seek happiness in this life, you will eventually find sadness, because that's the only path that happiness will lead you to. Sadness. That's real. Seek satisfaction. Seek the state of pure bliss. Seek satisfaction, the state of pure bliss, and you can only find that within yourself. You can only find that within yourself. See, when I brought the Republic of Mentellect together, I wanted to gather those persons who have truly found that in themselves. I don't want people in here. I keep saying I have to keep always bringing it back to the Republic of Mentellect, because everybody that comes here is meant to go from people to person. And they have come to a state of pure bliss. We can do this work because I want blissful people doing this work. Finding the elect, finding other blissful people. I don't want happy people here. I don't want happy people here. I don't want, because I know eventually happy people will turn into sad people. At any given time, they're unpredictable. Happy people will eventually turn into sad people over time. When their mind is still locked in that three-dimensional world, they're asking all kind of stupid questions. Right? They still thinking in three-dimensional terms. I want blissful people here. Blissful persons, excuse me. I want blissful persons here. Blissful, personified persons here. Ones who know that by doing this work, by being part of this movement, by being part of this community, being part of this covenant of Amen, by finding our bright ones, sending a bigger picture, that you are part of a bigger picture. That's what I want here. That's what I want here. I don't want no people here who going off, who still locked in that happiness and sadness, people, place, and possession. I don't want that here, because that's not real. That's not real. That's not real. I want personified ones here who are looking to extend themselves, because if you are looking to extend yourselves, then you're looking to extend this covenant, because you become one with the covenant and you extend yourself greater when you become a person who are extending themselves. When we go out here and do a great work, a greater work, and bring Amen's covenant on earth, bringing Amen's judgment on earth through us, bringing a new world, a next world on earth through us, that is a state of pure bliss, that we are doing the work of Amen. We are doing the work of the Lord. We become the Lords. We become the judges. We become one with the Lord, become one with the judges. See, because when we was in that three-dimensional state, we were separate from the Lord. We were separate from the judge. But now we coming into that fourth dimensional state. We are becoming one with the Lord, one with the judge, and we are becoming the lords and judges. We are becoming that extension, because Amen represents nothing but extension. Amen represents nothing but continuous growth. So, of course, when we are in alignment with Amen, we are in a state of pure bliss, because we know we are part of something greater. We don't believe it. We know it. We know it. But then you got those who don't know. They don't know. They still think we're trying to push belief. They still think we're trying to push some three-dimensional picture when we don't moved on. They still want to embrace the three-dimensional world. They want to live in a three-dimensional world as black people, going back and forth between happiness and sadness and dysfunctional relationships and dysfunctional and false friendships and dysfunctional and false relationships. They still want to live in that world. And because they know they don't see that here and what we doing, because they don't see that here and what we doing, they leave. They don't want to be part of that.
It's the Republic of Intellect, rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of Intellect, black race to the white race. If it's hell, then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that we can do. We the Republic of Intellect.